What's up guys, Ace Pilot 10 here with episode 2 of Spigot and Bukkit plugin tutorial. Today we're going to be learning about methods. So last episode we covered variables and basically the introduction. So now we're going to learn how to make methods and use the variables in our methods. So basically a method is just a block of code, and I'll write this down. It's basically a block of code which can be ran. I guess that's a good way of putting it. Now, with a method, we have a couple different things called visibilities. So I'll go ahead and make that. It can be public, it can be private, and it can be protected. Now, public means and there's also a default. Public means basically it's open to any instance of the class. Private means it's open to only the class. Protected means it is open to the class. Whoops. It is open to the class. Now, a protected can be open to the class. I'm sorry. Basically, it can be open to any classes in the package and any subclasses of the superclass. The superclass mainly means the main class that whatever interface, we'll get into those later, or I'm sorry, anything extends from it. Now our default's basically just default, that's it. We just put nothing there. We also have modifiers such as static or non-static. So static and non-static. Basically, static means it cannot have any instances. It's just its own thing. So if I add for example, a static int, it would be an int that can't be instantated. You know what? Let's just. I can't word today. It's an int that can't have different instances. So it's only one. And this can be useful for making methods that aren't going to have an error. So something that like a boolean, for example, and we'll get into that later in the episode. So how a method works is the syntax, the visibility, if it's static or not, the return type, and the name, and then our parameters, which we'll get into. So if we make a simple method down here, public, which means it's open to any instance of the class, public, and then our return type, which is any of our variables that we covered last episode, such as byte, short, long, int, boolean, and then we also have void, which we did not cover. Void just means it doesn't return anything. and some more. That you get the point. So if we say public public void test and then a parentheses. So now we can go over this. Public is our visibility. I spelled that wrong. Void is our return type. Also, if it's not static, then we don't need to type static. If it's static, we just say static. If it's not, then we don't have to type anything. Our name, and then our parameters. So now, in this method, we can do anything we want. So if we want to print something out to the config, or I'm sorry, the console, we'll just say system.out.println. The test method has been ran. So then now we can call this method. So if we make our main method, and also I didn't go over what a main method is. A main method is just for basic Java when you're not doing Bukkit. It's the first method. It's the method that is first ran whenever the program starts. So if we to call our method, we just say the name, and then we have to use the parameters. And in this case, there's nothing in the parameters, so we also have to make this static because main is static. We have nothing in the parameters to worry about. So now, if we run this, it will then call our method right here, which just prints out the test method has been ran. So there you go, the test method has been ran. So now if we get into perimeters. Perimeters are a way to hold data, such as if we wanted a calculator method, we would do public static void calculate. Now, inside of the calculate method, we would need, or actually we're just going to call this add. We would need two numbers, the two numbers to add. So we would have our data type, which is an int, num1, and our second number, which is also an int, num2. So then we now have these two numbers. So then we can use these numbers. We could say int final num equals num1 plus num2. And then now we have our final num. So we could just say system.out.println the final number is final num. Now you might be questioning how the method gets the numbers. How does it know what numbers to use? Well, when we call the method, we have to put in our numbers. We have to put in our parameters. So to call it, we call the name. Then inside of our parameters, if we don't put anything, it'll give us an error. That's because it doesn't know what numbers. So now we need to put our two numbers. We'll do 5 and 5. So now it's going to add 5 and 5. So now if we run it, the final number is 10. We can also subtract it. The final number is 0. Now we could also use variables inside of methods. So if we have a little private static int our num equals 5, private static int our second num equals 25. We could just use add, and then we get the our num variable, whoops, and our second num. So now that's just getting these two int variables. So when we run this, final number is minus 20. Oh, we forgot to change that to add. Run it. Final number is 30 because 25 plus 5 is 30. And that's just for voids. We also have different return types. So if we had a method, public, static, we also have the static because we don't have to worry about any instances of the class that could cause errors. Everything is safe. Public, static, we can make this a boolean. Is it true? So now it's going to give us an error right here because we don't have any return type, because the return type, as you can see, is a boolean. So if we wanted to have a little variable up here for private boolean, is it true equals false, we could then return is it true. So that's just returning up here. That's just returning this. No, we're just gonna call this B, so we don't get any errors. And then this method will just return our boolean up here. So then if we say system.out.println, is it true? And then we could say, is it true? Dot. So now if we run this, it should say false. Yep. So now when we run this, it just returns this basically. So is it true? False. We could also do that for all the return types, like public, static, int, what's the number, return our, well, you know, we'll just return our own number. We'll return 10. So then if we say system.out.println, our number is our, not that, sorry, is what the number. And run. And there you see our number is 10, because that's returning 10. So that pretty much wraps up methods. These are a crucial part of Java. This is probably one of the most used things, methods. Very important. I will see you in the next episode. Thanks for watching.